Welcome back to the Naval News. Many of you have been asking, where have I been for the past week? Well, one of the things I've been doing is monitoring this developing situation in the Sea of Japan. Russia has announced that it will conduct the largest naval exercise in many years in this region, and we're going to talk about what ships are participating in it and what does it mean for places like Japan and Korea and even China to some extent. So the lead ship in this Russian naval exercise is the Marshal Shapashnikov, which is a Utiloy destroyer. Primary mission is ASW, search and kill submarines. However, this hull is heavily modified. In a 5-year dry dock period, they ripped out a gun turret and a number of its anti-submarine weapons and replaced them with anti-ship and land attack missiles. Specifically, they have the SSN 35 anti-ship missile launchers in replace of the SSN-14 launchers. Those are anti-ship missiles. And they have a 16-cell VLS vertical launch missile launcher on the bow that can shoot Caliber-class missiles, which are land attack, anti-ship variants as well. And starting next year, they will be deploying the Zircon hypersonic missile on this hull. And they did maintain one 100-millimeter cannon on the bow. Other weapons that are aft of the bow here are 64 SAN-9 Gauntlet missiles. Those only have a 12-kilometer range, so not much of a area denial weapon. And she does have some other anti-submarine weapons like torpedoes and RBU-6000s, which are essentially depth charges, and of course the helicopters here. But this ship, whenever it goes to sea, it's usually coupled with someone that has more anti-air defense, because its primary purpose is to find and sink submarines, and in this case, with this modification, find and kill other ships or land attacks. It is the most capable ship that we're going to be talking about today. Other ships that are with it are the Gromechki corvette. This has 8 VLS and 16 Redoubt SAMs. Now, the Redoubt battery can carry a different number of missiles. So it's got 16 cells that can shoot, each cell can shoot one S-400 long-range surface-to-air missile, which this fleet will need to protect the Utiloy, or they can have 4 missiles in a quad pack in each cell, but those are all very short-range missiles, much like what the Utiloy has already. How they're loaded out, we don't know. She does have a 100-millimeter cannon as well as torpedoes and a helicopter. With them, there are 2 of the Starengushi class corvettes. These ships are getting smaller and smaller with less endurance, less capability. This one has 8 VLS as well as 12 of the Redoubt VLS SAMs, one 100-millimeter gun with torpedoes, and a helicopter. Escorting them is the very old and surprisingly still in service Grisha. There are 5 different variants of the Grisha. They're deployed with the Grisha 3. Primary purpose of the Grisha is to find submarines and chase them away out of littoral waters. They're very good. Their sonars are specially tuned for littoral water ASW warfare. And so with them, they have a 76-millimeter cannon, a twin launcher that can shoot the Gecko missiles. Again, a short-range missile, 15 kilometers max range. They do have an RBU launcher for whenever they find the submarines to attack it with those depth charges, and 2 53-centimeter torpedoes. And those are bearing-only weapons. In other words, they shoot the torpedo, the 53-centimeter torpedo, out on a bearing, and it does its own search with no wire guidance at all. So 2 of those with the fleet. And rounding out the end of the warships here are the Tarantel class ships. These are also very old Cold War era ships that they managed to keep running somehow. Each of these have 4 anti-ship missiles, and these are supersonic anti-ship missiles. They do have some capability, but they're only defended by 4 very short-range Strela surface-to-air missiles in a single quad pack on the stern there. To supplement this surface-to-air defense, they actually deploy 12 additional portable man-pads, man-portable air defense shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles, much like the American Stinger missile, just to help protect this ship from low-flying airplanes, and if they can, possibly try and shoot at an incoming missile. It does have a 76 millimeter cannon on the back, and that is the bulk of the warships in this exercise, this largest one in years for this region of the world. With them, they have the Marshal Krylov tracking ship. This would be for not just intelligence gathering, but because it's going to be a naval exercise, missile data link monitoring, performance evaluation of the weapons. They have a Dubna class replenishment ship to keep all these corvettes going, because the corvettes and PCMs, the smaller ships, are very limited in their endurance when compared to larger ships like the Udaloy that have actually thousands of miles of endurance. They have a hospital ship with them and the Sliva rescue tug as well. No Russian ship goes to sea anymore without a rescue tug, because there's been times whenever they just need to be towed back to port for repairs because they lose propulsion. So if we were to take a simplistic look at the offensive capability of these 14 ships, we would come up with, they have 64 anti-ship or land attack missiles. They have 124 VLS SAMs, and those are primarily short range, 15 kilometers and less for the most part, for just about every one of them, and then 9 naval guns between them. This is what they could muster to go to sea. This is the operational Pacific Fleet for the Russian Federation. A couple of reasons why they don't have other ships are the Varyag, which is a Slava class, and the Admiral Tribits, which is another Udaloy, are right now deployed in the Mediterranean. They would normally be part of the Pacific Fleet, but because of operations going on in the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, they can't be in the Pacific Fleet right now. All the other ships, which are mostly coastal patrol craft, are not part of this operation because they're in port, they're in dry dock, they're being modified or modernized, being improved. They're just not available. So this is the capability right now that Russia has to put naval power at sea as far as surface ships go. We're not obviously discussing submarines in this case. Let's compare that to what the United States have. If we take their 64 VLS, their 124 SAMs, and their 9 naval guns of their entire fleet, that is almost covered by 2 Arleigh Burke Flight 2 Alpha destroyers, as you see here, where each one of those has 96 VLSs, and we combine ours, our anti-ship and our surface-to-air missiles use the same VLS, so it's all one category for us. And they have a naval gun on the bow of those. And we have approximately 75 Arleigh Burkes, and that's just one class. So 2 Arleigh Burkes is a peer match for the Russia's Pacific Fleet, and 3 or more is an overmatch for Russia's Pacific Fleet right now. It's crazy. Like, whenever I get on this channel and I nitpick about the decisions Congress makes and the sometimes questionable decisions that the Navy makes, just know that I'm just arguing over how shiny that cannonball is. We still have the most capable cannonball in the world whenever it comes to naval power. And whenever we combine our power with our allies, especially in the Pacific region, we are unstoppable. There is not a Navy in the world that can match the amount of power that we can put to sea in any theater, but especially the Pacific theater. So whenever we talk about peer-to-peer matchup with countries like China, just know that we are really on a whole other level. We have, we've outgrown the Russian Navy by leaps and bounds. The Russian Navy is in regression in both capability, and number of ships. They keep getting older, and they're not replacing them as fast as they're losing their ships. And China, while they are mass producing ships, they cannot mass produce experience. And that's another big advantage we have, is our sailors are better trained and have a lot more experience than any sailor in the PLAN. Yeah, the United States Navy is head and shoulders above everybody else. And keep that in perspective whenever we talk about fleet operations in the Pacific. All right, so this exercise begins in a couple days in Sea of Japan. If anything comes of it, I'll give you an update here. But honestly, I don't expect anything but a bunch of propaganda out of Russia. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. Bye. I'm just going to let this run. Look at that. Look at that. A bunch of angry Marines on those ships. Yeah, there we go. We got the Zumwalt there. Hey, there were some of those unmanned vessels there too. Did you see that? Oh, very good. All right, guys. Have a great one. Bye. I should have just played this video.